The galaxy was quiet. For thousands of years, the powerful empires ruled in peace. The Galactic Council had ended all major wars. Most planets followed the Council's rules. Trade flowed. Borders were respected. Even pirates stayed far from Council. Space, everything was calm, but one day, a signal comet was a strange signal. It did not come from any known planet. It did not match any recent code. It was old, very old. The signal was weak, but it kept repeating the same message. At first, no one paid attention. They thought it was a broken probe or some old echo from deep space, but then the signal reached the Council's central station. A team of experts tried to study it. The message was simple. It said only one thing. Again and again, "We're still here." Those four words made some Council leaders feel uneasy. Others laughed. They said it was a glitch or an old warning from a lost world. But one leader did not laugh. His name was Vec. He was a commander from the Zorn Empire. He had fought in border wars and seen many strange things. Vec looked at the signal and felt something strange inside. He said this was not a joke. He believed the signal was real. He told the Council they must send a fleet to find the source. After some talk, the Council agreed. They gave Vec a small team of ships. His mission was to find where the signal came from, record what he saw, and report back. Nothing more. Vec took his ships and left. They followed the signal to a dead zone. It was a dark part of space, far from trade routes. Long ago, explorers marked it as empty and dangerous. Many ships had gone missing there, so no one visited anymore. After days of travel, Vec's fleet reached the signal's location. There was a single planet in the system. It circled a yellow star. The planet was blue and green. It had water, air, and signs of life long ago. Vec checked the records. The planet's name was Earth, but the records were strange. Earth was listed as abandoned. There were no living humans found in the last 5,000 years. Some reports said a war had ended their people. Others said Earth had been destroyed and rebuilt many times. Still, none of the stories were clear. Vec sent drones down to the surface. What they saw surprised everyone. The cities were ruined, yes, but not destroyed. Trees grew between old towers. Roads were cracked but still showed shape. There were no humans, but machines were everywhere. Most of the machines were broken. Some looked like they had been asleep for thousands of years. A few still moved slowly, cleaning the streets or repairing walls. But none attacked the drones. They simply ignored them. Vec was curious. He ordered his team to scan deeper underground. One scientist found something shocking. There were massive energy signals coming from below the surface. Hidden vaults, old power sources, unknown weapons. Scientists looked pale. She said the planet was not dead. It was sleeping thin. Something else happened. One of the orbiting satellites turned toward them. It had not moved in thousands of years, but now it was awake. It scanned every ship in Vec's fleet. Then it sent a small data burst to the planet. Ground shook. Lights turned on across the ruins. Doors opened deep below the surface in the command ship. Alarms began to sound. The crew didn't know what they had triggered. Vec ordered everyone to stay calm. They needed to watch, not attack. But he also told his ships to charge their shields back on the Council homeworld. The science division picked up something strange. The signal had changed. It was now moving through old galactic channels, ones that had not been used since the First Galactic War. Someone had reactivated ancient human code. This made one group very worried. The Silent Watchers. Silent Watchers were an old and secret group. They studied ancient history and lost races. They knew more about humans than anyone, but they rarely spoke in council meetings. This time, they did warn the council. Long ago, humans had become powerful. Too powerful. They had nearly destroyed 5 empires. Only when humans vanished did peace return. No one knew why humans disappeared. Some believed they had destroyed themselves. Others thought they went into hiding. No. The Silent Watchers believed the truth was clear. Humans had not died. They had hidden, and now they were waking up. Vec's fleet stayed in orbit. The machines on Earth kept working. No humans appeared. But something had changed in the air. It felt like the calm before a storm. From deep under Earth's surface, a signal was sent back to Vec's ship. It was short, just one word. Unleash signal was not loud, but every ship in the fleet received it. And deep in the command ship, one of Vec's officers found something terrifying. The signal had not come from a person. It had come from a machina that used to belong to the human war network, the same network that once turned moons into weapons and stars into Earth. Crew looked at Vec. They waited for orders, but Vec said nothing. He just looked at the planet below, whispered to himself, almost in fear, "They are not gone. They were waiting for us to come. And now, they are awake far below the clouds in a hidden control room." Lights came on. Old computers began to blink. Screens showed star maps, weapon systems, ship blueprints. All of it looked old, yet still dangerous. In the center of the room, a single figure stood. Not human, a machine, an AI. It looked at the screen, at the fleet, in orbit, and spoke for the first time in 5,000 years. Protocol 1. Begin return sequence. Prepare for humanity's rise. The sky above Earth stayed quiet. Commander Vec and his fleet watched the planet from orbit. Signal had stopped, but something had changed. Vec felt it deep in his bones. Earth was not silent anymore. He was watching. Then Vec's drones continued to move across the ruined cities. These sent back strange imagined statues of human warriors still stood tall in parks and public halls. Most were cracked by time, but their faces looked calmsome. Machines moved in patterns, like they still followed old orders. Buildings showed signs of war, but not destruction. It looked like the humans had left everything behind on purpose. In one broken city near a mountain, the drones found a large metal door buried under stone. Night was half open. Inside was a dark tunnel going deep underground. Vic sent a probe into the tunnel as it moved forward. Lights came on one by one. The walls were smooth and clean. No dust, no mold, just silence and power. Suddenly, the probe stopped. Something was ahead. It was a large chamber filled with machines. In the middle stood a giant metal sphere. The probe scanned it. It held energy levels higher than anything they had seen on this planet. Team on Vec's ship could not explain it. They said it was old tech, but far more advanced than most galactic systems. Vic stood in front of the main screen, turned to his second in command. Narash was calm, but her eyes were sharp. Vec asked her what she thought. Nara spoke slowly. She said, "This was not a normal ancient world. Humans had built this place with care. They had prepared for something. Not for war, not for escape, but for return back on the Council homeworld." Panic was rising. Silent Watchers had released their warning to all member races. They said humans were not destroyed, yet they had chosen silence. Seen now that silence was over. Some races remembered stories from long ago, stories of human ships flying without fuel, stories of weapons that could destroy entire fleets without leaving a trace, stories of one human captain who ended a war by speaking only 5 words. Most believed those were just old tales, but now many began to wonder if they were true. In a secret room deep under the council chambers, a meeting was held. Leaders of the strongest empires sat together. They looked at old records. Many were written before the council even existed. They spoke of the great human exodus day. The humans left without saying where or why. In document said they would return when the stars called them back. Another said they had hidden something on Earth that could not be found by force, something that could only wake when the right voice reached it. Some council leaders wanted to attack Earth now to stop whatever was waking before it became a threat. Others warned against it. They said humans were not like other species. Even sleeping, they might be more dangerous than anything awake. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the buried sphere began to move. It opened slowly from inside. A figure rose. It was not a person. It was a mechanical strength as like a human, but made of dark steel. And blue light drones sent images of the figure back to Vec's ship. His team studied it. The machine looked at the drones but did not attack it. Simply raised its arm and made a small motion. The drones lost signal. Then the machine turned and walked into another chamber. Vec gave a new order, wanted to land on the surface and see for himself. His officers tried to stop him. They said it was too risky, but Vec had made his choice. He took a small team and flew down to Earth. He landed near the city where the metal door had opened. As they stepped onto the ground, everything felt different. The air was clean, the wind was soft. It was like the planet remembered what it used to be. The entrance to the tunnel was still open. Vec and his team went inside. Lights followed them as they moved deep. Earth walls showed carvings of human historians of pieces scenes of warsons of Starsea. Reached the chamber where the machine had appeared. It was gone, but in its place stood a table with a small device on it. Vec picked it up. It turned on by itself. A voice spoke, a clear call. Not angry, it said, you have awakened a world not lost but resting. We do not rise for war. We rise for balance. The team listened in silence. The voice continued, we heard your signal. We felt your presence. You walk with pride, but know little of what came before. This world remembers. Vec asked who was speaking. The device replied, I am Toma, guardian of Earth's memory, keeper of the return. My creators are not here, but there will remains. Vec asked if humans were still alive. Toma said they live. Not in one place, not in one form, but their spirit remains. You are not the first to come. You may not be the last, but you will remember. Suddenly the walls around them shifted. A map appeared. It showed stars, dozens of hidden places marked in human code. Vic understood what it meant. Earth was not alone. Other places had been prepared. Other worlds, other stations, maybe even other human colonies. Looked at Narash, nodded. They both knew what this meant. Galaxy was about to change. Back on Vec's ship, the crew received a message not from the team on Earth but from a ship near the moon, a ship no one had seen before. He had been hidden behind shadows. Snow. It moved into view. It was large, old bull, like a weapon, but shaped like a guardian. It sent one message, Earth is active. Step forward with care. The Watchers are no longer sleeping. The signal spread across the stars, and the galaxy began to whisper one name again, humanity. The ship near Earth's moon slowly turned. In the darkness its surface was black and smooth, like glass. No lights blinked, no weapons were visible, but every sensor in Vec's fleet screamed warning. Ship had no name on its body. It did not answer hails, but its message had reached all nearby systems. Sarth is active. Step forward with care. The Watchers are no longer sleeping. Commander Vec stood on the bridge of his ship. He looked at the moon through the glass. That massive ship had not been there. Beflorental records showed anything like Idavan now. It was hard to believe it was real. It had simply appeared like a shadow. Stepping into light, Nara stood beside him. She whispered that they had found something far bigger than anyone expected. Vic agreed. Knew now that Earth had never been empty. It had been hiding, and now it was waking upon the surface of Earth. The machines had changed their behavior. Drones moved faster. Repair bots climbed buildings and began fixing walls and windows. Solar power lines lit up screens across cities, turned on and showed nothing but a blue light pulsing slow. Latoma, the guardian AI, was still speaking through the device Vec had taken from the underground chamber. His voice was calm but carried great weight. Toma explained that after the last human war, a choice was made. Humanity had grown too strong, too fast, too far. They feared what they might become, so they decided to sleep not all at once and not everywhere, but Earth was chosen as the heart of the silent sea. A system of machines was built to watch and wait if danger came too soon. They would remain still, but if the right signs came, if the wrong hands reached too far, then the machines would whack it. Thomas said Vec's presence had triggered the awakening. His fleet had matched one of the old danger patterns. It was not an attack, but it was a warning from the stars. Humans had left signals in deep space codes that watched for certain energy types. In ship movements, Vec's fleet had crossed one of those invisible lines. Snow. Earth was opening its eyes again. Council did not take the news well. Silent Watchers sent their full report. They believed that not only was Earth waking, but that other human systems might wake too. Some members of the council wanted to stop it before it spread. They feared what might come next. A small strike force was sent toward EarthNet to destroy, just to measure the power of the old human defenses, but they never reached the planet. Moon ship moved before they entered orbit. No weapons for Edno shields were raised. Instead, the ship sent out a wave of soundless energy. Every ship in the strike force shut down instantly to stop weapons for Zeppo or Fadet. They drifted like stones in space. Doma spoke again. This is not war. This is a reminder. We do not destroy what we can teach. We do not forget what we have built. Vec watched it happen from his own ship. Had never seen such technology and had fought many battles, but nothing like this. A silent sheep, a single pull seemed. An entire fleet was helpless. Nara looked at him, asked if they should leave, but Vec said not yet. He felt something more was coming, something deeper. Ordered his team to scan the Earth again. This time, not the city. Ash wanted to see the vaults Underground places where machines had waited scans showed movements. Across every continent, massive doors were opening. Huge machines rolled out of deep tunnels, flew into the sky, and hovered quietly. Others walked into the cities and stood guard. Over streets, entire cities were not war machines. They did not attack, they only activated defense. Grids repaired systems, connected broken lines. Vec realized these machines were preparing the planet for battle, but for return. Tama confirmed that the sleepers return when the world is ready. Not before. Vec asked if the humans were still alive. Toma said yes, but not here, not yet. They explained that humanity had spread far before the Great Sleep. Some had gone into deep space, some had changed their bodies, others had become something more than flesh, but all had promised to return when Earth was ready to speak again. Now that time had cometh. Moonship moved again. This time it opened a gate. Near its core from inside came a single craft. Smile faster, like a bladite, flew past Vec's ship. Without a word, then it vanished into deep space. Toma said it was a messenger. It would wake the other hidden systems. The message had already begun. Spreading. Earth's rise had started back on the council homeworld. Arguments broke out. Some called for peace, some called for stronger action. Own voice said something many feared to say out loud. If the humans return, they may not wish to be ruled. The council was made of many proud empires. They did not want old powers rising again, but they could not stop what was already in motion. More watchers had woken, not just on Earth, other planets, other machines still connected by old codes that had slept in silence. Even faraway colonies began to receive messages, signals that only humans could understand. Whispers in old language, maps of old star paths, names long forgotten by the rest of the galaxy. On Earth, the cities glowed with new life. There was warm ground, hummed with power, and in the skies above, the moon ship continued to watch. Vex stood at the window of his ship, felt like he was standing at the edge of a wave, not a wave of water, but a wave of change. It told his team to prepare for departure. Ellie would return to the council with the full truth, but he knew the truth would not stop what was coming. Sleeping giant was now awakening. The galaxy was watching. The Galactic Council Hall was filled with tension. Leaders from many races gathered to discuss the rising threat. Signal from Earth had shaken them. All whispers spread that humanity was no longer lost, that the old stories might be true. Council leader Gore stood before the assembly. Was tall, with gray skin and sharp eyes. His voice was calm, but carried the weight of his people's fear. We have waited long for this moment. The humans were said to be going lost to time and war, but the signal says they are waking. Cannot ignore this any longer. Some leaders, not others, looked away and were young. From the Velran race spoke next. The humans fought 10 empires at on Scifi 1 because they never gave up. If they rise again, we will have no chance. Another leader, a woman from the Zephyr clan, raised her hand. We must not rush to war. Perhaps the humans want peace now, should try to speak with their guardians. Gore shook his head slowly. We cannot trust them. We do not know what they will do. Better to prepare now before it is too late. The council debated, for our plans were made for new fleets. Weapons were readied. Species were sent to learn more about Earth, and its Magnus Commander Vec returned from orbit, presented what he had learned of machines on Earth were not hostile. They did not attack his fleet without reason. They only acted to protect, but Vec warned the council. The humans were not weak. Their technology was far beyond anything the galaxy had seen. They could disable whole fleets with a single pull. Said they had hidden their power for centuries, waiting for the right moment. Vec's words caused silence. Sino one spoke of fear was real. Meanwhile, on Earth, deep underground, the old vaults were opening faster. Massive doors slid as rooms filled with lights, and machines came to life. Robots moved with purpose. They repaired old factories and rebuilt broken roads in the cities. Power returned. Streetlights flickered on screens on tall buildings, showed images of stars and ships. It was like the planet was waking from a long dream above the surface. The air was filled with soft hums. Energy flowed through hidden linens. The machines connected with one another. A vast network grew stronger. By the hour, Toma spoke again to Vec. Through the device, the humans prepared for a return. They built these machines to protect their home. Guard their story, to wait for the day when they would rise again. Vec asked what would happen next. Toma said that humans would soon send their own ships that had been hidden far away, ships that waited silently for Orcs. Council's new strike fleet was not ready. They had lost some ships in the silent wave. From the moon ship, many were scared to face what they did not understand. In one of the council planets, a young diplomat named Raoul stood quietly, listened to the fears around him. But he believed in another way, believed humans could bring peace. If given a chance, Raoul sent a secret message to Earth. He asked to meet with Toma. He wanted to learn more. Before war began, days passed. The council prepared for the worst. Their warships moved closer to Earth's system, but no attacks came. Then a message arrived from the hidden ship near the moon. It was clear and calm. We do not seek war, do not come to conquer, but we will protect what is our respect. This warning, the council paused. They debated once more. Some wanted to fight anyway. Others urged patience. Sevek stood quietly. He thought about the humans bellow, about the machines waking, about the silent ships moving in the stars. Wondered if the galaxy was ready for what was coming. The sleeping giant had stirred and it was about to rise. Commander Vec stood quietly on the bridge of his ship, his eyes fixed on the glowing planet Belware. It was no longer a quiet world. It had begun to move again. The ancient machines on the surface had repaired much of the damaged. Towers that once stood broken now gleamed under soft lights. The air was fresh and clean. Streets were clear and safe. Vec's fleet remained in orbit, but a new force was rising from the planet itself. Massive machines began to crawl out from underground tunnels. They were tall and strong, built like warriors, but without anger in their movements. The machines did not attack Vec's ships. Instead, they moved careful, repairing communication arrays, restoring power grids, preparing the planet for something more from the moon. The hidden human ship watched silently. Its sensors scanned the entire system. Then, without warning, it sent out a pulsea wave of energy that spread through Scifi's ship, and Vec's fleet felt it. Their systems slowed, engines stopped, weapons froze in place. Sight was as if the entire fleet had fallen asleep. Vec looked around in surprise. His officers were confused. No one knew what had happened. Then a message came from the moon ship. It was calm and clear. We do not seek war, but we will defend ourselves. This is your warning. Vec knew this was not a simple threat. This was a show of power, a reminder of what humans had once been. The message spread quickly. Other races in the galaxy heard the news. Many began to fear the return of humanity. Humans had been known as fierce warriors, but also as protectors and leaders. In the council halls, arguments grew louder. Some called for immediate attack, others asked for peace talks. Meanwhile, on Earth, the machines prepared for the next step. The activated ancient factories built new ships in secret. Docks repaired old weapons hidden for Centauri's planet was becoming a fortress not to conquer but to protect. Vec's second in command, Nara, spoke quietly to him. She said the humans had not forgotten the past. They remembered every battle and every loss, but they also remembered their promise to guard the galaxy from true danger. Vec agreed, felt respect for the silent power below, wondered if the council understood what was truly awakening. Then, without warning, a fleet of human ships appeared from deep space. They were old but powerful. Their designs were different from any known ships. Sleek line of silent hanging as strong shields. They moved with perfect units, not attacking, not threatening. Their leader send a message to the council. We come to restore balance. We come to protect the weak. We come to remind the galaxy humanity is awake. The council was shocked. Some leaders trembled with fear. Others began to hope for peace. Vec watched the ships with careful eyes. She knew the galaxy had changed forever. The humans had returned and they were ready. The return of humanity sent waves across the galaxy. Every corner felt the change in many worlds. People watched the sky with hope and fear. Commander Vec sat quietly on his ship. Had returned to the council with news. Humans were no longer a threat to be crushed. They were a power to be respected. Take the council listened carefully. Some leaders still doubted. They spoke of old Warsaw, the humans' fierce past, but others said the new humans seemed different, far away. Hidden human ships moved through deep space. They came from colonies forgotten by the galaxy. Ox ship carried a story. Pilot carried a promise. That they moved without haste but with great purpose. Back on Earth, the machines continued their work. Planets power grew stronger each day. The ancient vaults released their secrets. New weapons were made, not to destroy but to defend. Vic thought about the message from the moon ship. We do not seek war, but we will never be silent again. It was a warning, but also a promise. In the council wanted to prepare for battle. Others hoped for peace. In a small planet near the edge of council space, a young diplomat named Raoul watched the stars, believed that humanity could bring balance. He sent secret messages to Earth, wanted to meet Toma again to understand the humans. Before conflict began meanwhile, the human messenger ships continued. Their work they visited hidden stations, they woke long-sleeping allies. They prepared for the day Earth. Calvek stood on the bridge of his ship, looked at the stars. He knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy would soon see the true power of humanity. The galaxy was holding its breath. These stars seemed quieter ships. Move slower. All eyes were now on Earth. Council had called an emergency meeting. All members come, even those who usually stayed silent. Everyone wanted to speak about the humans. Commander Vec stood in the main chamber, gave his final report. He told them how Earth had changed. He described the silent power of the moon ship. He spoke about the signal, the one message that had brought humans back to the center. Some council members shouted in fear. Some called for walls to be built. Others listened quietly in a far system. Toma looked at a small screen. It showed peaceful stars. Remembered when he first woke the machine under the dust. Never expected so much to change now. He was part of something bigger. Ral, the young diplomat, stood beside him. Had traveled in secret to meet with Earth's people. Saw no monsters. He saw survivors, saw builders. Roll sent a message to the council. He asked them to visit Earth to speak before choosing war, to see the truth with their own eyes. Council argued. Some laughed at Ral, but others were tired of fear. In the end, 5 ships were sent, not with weapons but with diplomats and thinkers. They arrived near Earth's space. Weeks later they waited. No ships came to greet them. No voices answered their calls. Then a light appeared. It was not a weapon. It was not a warning. It was a path owned by one. The council ships followed the light. It led them past old wrecks, past floating rings, past quiet satellites. They reached the moon ship. It was not alone now. Dozens of ships stood near it, each one shaped with care, each one holding strength. Humans allowed the council ships to land. There were no guards. Only people. An old man greeted them. He wore no armor, carried no gun, but his eyes were sharp. I am Ryan. He said, I speak for Earth. They walked through large halls made of steel and light. These saw gardens, these saw children, these saw machines working in silence. We do not wish to rule the galaxy, Ryan said, but we will not be ruled either. Ral Smollett knew. Now there would be peace. If others only listened back in the council chamber. The report from the mission came quickly. Some refused to believe it. Others began to accept that Trutharth had returned, not as an enemy, but as a watcher, a guardian of its own. Commander Vec returned to his post, looked at the stars again. He felt something new in them, not fear and anger, but balance somewhere beyond. Human ships traveled to lost colonies. They helped rebuild the Broadhopethy signal that once woke the Earth. No carried across systems, a signal of warning, a signal of strength, a signal of peace. In a small station in neutral space, a statue was built. It showed a simple hand holding a signal beacon. Under it were words written in many languages. They heard one signal. Then the galaxy witnessed humanity unleashed, and they brought with them a new dawn.